Hey everybody! The purpose of this video is to get you through this little bit of exam number one. So we're going to have to figure out how to, you've already clicked on this link, which means you're watching this video, and now we're going to crack into this spreadsheet. This is for the last 20 points on your exam. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at, it's a continuation of your 4-4s lab, which I know you really enjoyed. Hopefully you'll enjoy this part of it too. So the idea, just like it was in your lab, is to use 4-4s and make a bunch of numbers. Now we'll get to these in a second. The first thing, I just want to make sure that you know how to get numbers into Excel. We've played with them a little bit in class already up to this point, and we'll play with them more between as I'm making this video on the 14th and your exam being due in 2 weeks. But what we want to look at now is how to create the 4-4s idea in Excel, which is actually not that much hard. So let me just explain this to you. What you're looking at here is you're looking at a bunch of numbers you have to make using 4-4s. So up here, I said your choice from your lab. So for these three, you're just going to pick any number you want from the lab. And in the lab, we use the numbers 1 through 20. So I'll just pick one. I'll just pick 16. I'm going to type 16 there. Okay. And then the formula is going to go here. Now your formula in the lab, you might have done something like this: 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. Okay. Well, in here, I want you to do that same kind of thing, but I want you to use formulas in Excel to do it. So watch. I want to show you how to do that. I'm going to hit an equal sign, which is how you always start formulas, and then I'm going to click on the first 4, and then I'm going to hit a plus sign, and then I'm going to click on the next 4. And then I'm going to hit another plus sign, and then hit the next 4, and then a plus sign, and hit the next 4, and then I'm going to press enter. So you see what I just did? I got 16 via the same thing that you did in the lab, 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. But if you look up here, I did it by using Excel formulas, by using these 4-4s. Hopefully that makes sense. You can do, like I said, any numbers you want to pick. Let's pick 1, for example. You use 1 from your lab. There's a whole buttload of ways you can make 1. But one way that some of you figured out was you do equals this divided by this plus, or excuse me, this divided by this divided by this divided by this. Now, let's watch all those. Let's make sure we understand why this works. What I did was I took 4 divided by 4 first. That's this part right here. And that equals 1. And then I divided that by 4 divided by 4, which equals 1. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, some stuff that might get a little bit tricky to do. Okay, it's fairly straightforward. All you've got to do is click on numbers to get the 4. So where you would type, for example, when writing 4 plus 4, you're simply going to click on a 4, then hit plus, and then click on a 4. So every one of your formulas over here is going to have the numbers, cells, what is that, B3, C3, D3, and E3 in it. Okay, so every one of these is going to have those references in the formulas up top. Let's talk about some other stuff that you might have to use. Some of you, for example, used square roots. I'll give you an example. I'll redo this one up here using square roots. So what a few of you did, actually was pretty cool, was you did the square root of 4 times 4 times the square root of 4 times 4. And that's pretty clever, because the square root of 4 times 4 times 4 is 16. Square root of 16 is 4. That makes sense? And then the square root of the other 16 is also 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So the challenge is writing that out. So it's going to look like this. SQRT is the square root command in Excel. Left parentheses, that times that, and then times the square root of that one times that one. And you get 16. So what that would look like, here, I'll show you what that would actually look like. I'll open up a Word document here. Sorry, I gotta come over here real quick. Let's make a new one here. Yep, I'm gonna drag that one over here and show you what it looks like. So what that would actually look like would look something like this. Let's see if I can actually produce this without screwing it up. Radical. Okay. Except it's not 16 times 16, it's 4 times 4. Sorry. So it'd be 4 times 4. There we go. That's what it would have looked like maybe if you chose to do it this way on your lab. It would be the square root of 4 times 4 times the square root of 4 times 4. Make that bigger so you can actually see it. Okay? To put that into Excel, it has to look like this. So SQRT is square root. Just like we talked about in that homework you did a couple days ago. When you have a square root, there are implied parentheses under it. There are, I don't know if you even noticed when I was entering this into Excel, I had to put parentheses here and here into Word. I had to put parentheses here and here to let it know where to start and stop the radical from being drawn. So again, one of the reasons I don't like Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally is because of that. Things like radicals actually do have parentheses involved with them. So if you have to use square root, SQRT is the name of the square root command. Okay, that's good. Let's do 19. Okay, because 19 was a fun one, if I remember correctly. 19 was one of the ones we had to use the factorial on. Let's go over to the Word document again to take a look at that one. So to get 19, if I remember correctly, we did 4 factorial, which is 24, and then we had to remove 5 from that, and I think what we did was we subtracted, correct me if I'm wrong, subtracted 4 and then subtracted again. Let's see if I can do this. I think this is how we did it. So we're going to take 4 factorial, which is 24, minus 4, which gives us 20, and then this is equal to 1, so minus 1 is 19. So how can you put this into Excel? Well, it's not too hard to put this part into Excel. Minus 4 divided by 4. That's actually pretty simple. You can type it in looking just like that. It's this one that's a little bit tricky. But there's 2 ways that I can remember to do it. One is just to type FACT, which is the factorial, and then put the number you want to factorial in there. So fact, in parentheses 4, means 4 factorial. And then you go minus 4 over 4. And you can type it just like that, and that's going to give you your 19. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So you literally just simply type fact 4, which gives you the 4 factorial, and then you don't need any kind of parentheses or anything here because of order of operations. So factorial is that one. I'm going to try one more thing because I think, can you actually use the exclamation point? You cannot. Okay, so I was wrong. There's only one way. You have to use the fact 4 for a factorial. Okay, that gets you your 19. Okay. All right. So let's think of some other things. What other types of symbols do we need? Those were the 2 that were kind of big. Factorial and square root. I think that was it. The only other ones I could think you might need to do was if you had to put 44 in the formula. Or 444. Like, for example, this one here, we did it as, this one here when I did number 1, we did that as 1 equals 4, and then we divided that. Divide by, where's the divide by symbol? I think it's up here. This is hard to do without pencil and paper, huh? Divide by, and then 4 divided by 4. Okay, and that works. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 divided by 1 is 1. Some of you might say, Sean, that's ridiculous. Let's just do it this way. 44 divided by 44 is much easier way to get 1. 100% true. Absolutely 100% true. The trick is, how do you put 4 next to a 4 in Excel? And the answer to that is, I'm going to let you do it one of 2 ways. One way is, I will let you, if you don't want to do the second way I'm going to show you, you can just simply type 44 divided by 44, and I'll totally live with that. The way that you can do it additionally is I'm going to try to make 44 divided by 44. I'm going to put 4 and 4 divided by, bear with me here, 4 and 4. Okay, now I want you to look up here what I just did. When you want to put text characters next to each other in Excel, you use what's called the ampersand. It's this and symbol right here. It's and. Okay? And the way I got it on my computer screen, on my computer keys, it's Shift 7. So when you put B3 and C3, that makes it 44. You can't see that here. You can't see it in Excel because this number is 4 and 4 next to each other, which makes it 44. And this makes 4 and 4 next to each other, which is 44. If that drives anybody insane, you can just type the number 44. I won't require for those that you actually click in the cells. If you use single values like this, I do want you to click and actually get the references here. Okay, hopefully that all makes sense. So now your job is to figure out how to do all of these And what a lot of students I think will probably end up doing, my guess, is they'll do them on paper first, get them to work, and then figure out how to put them into Excel, which is totally fine. So what you want to have is you want to have every one of these puppy dogs is going to start over here with an equal sign and then end with whatever formula you use. One last thing to talk about is these very large numbers down here. These very large numbers down here are written in scientific notation. So 3.4 times 10 to the 38th power means move this decimal place 38 spaces this way. That's a huge number, but don't worry. Excel will give you the result looking just like this. You'll know you get it right when you get this number that pops out with your formula right here. Okay? I did all of these with roots, factorials, and I can't remember. I may have done one of these concatenations where I put numbers together and used 44. I can't remember off the top of my head. I did them last Friday, and I've forgotten since then. But as always, if anything throws you for a loop, you can always ask me for help. I'd be more than happy to help you through some of this stuff. Okie doke. I hope that helps, and we'll see you in class.